So welcome, Aoife. I'm just so delighted to be interviewing you about the Happy Family program. I'm really grateful to you for sharing with listeners, how you found it, how you found the journey. So if we could start, if you could first of all just introduce yourself and your family.
Yes, so I'm Aoife. I'm a 43-year-old mother of three kids. My daughter's 21, and then I have two younger boys of 7 and 5.5. So, and I work part-time and I'm a full-time mom.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So how would you say you were feeling when you first signed up for the program?
Oh, I was feeling exasperated, stressed to the gills. I just felt incompetent. I just felt I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I just didn't have the know-how to kind of address it. In terms of it's my middle child really, and both my husband and myself had really considered at times that there might be something wrong with him, like behaviorally. And so I just said, look, I saw the free trial on Facebook, and I said I'm going to give this a go. And then when it turned into a full program, I was like, I have to do this. I really do. I need help.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, and so what would you say has changed for you as a result of doing the program?
Uh, I find it hard to talk about actually without getting emotional, because I was so disconnected to that middle child, and I felt resentful at times. I did. I like, especially, waiting to pick him up from school, and that nervous anticipation of how he was going to behave, and bringing him out in public, and family gatherings and things like that. And we had him in a role of being this sort of problem child, or
Mm.
very prone to meltdowns. And through the course, I just reconnected with him, and I see things from his point of view, and I can see clearly where he's struggling and what he's struggling with. And I think the biggest learning for me was just it, to not take it personally, that just because someone is lashing out and targeting you, it's not personal. They're struggling with something. And I can't believe that I didn't know that as a parent. And it's sort of, but my parenting style as well was totally wrong for this child. What worked with my eldest and with our youngest is completely wrong for him. So it was a whole relearning of what he needs and how to handle situations much better, and just be the parent and be in control of my own emotions. So it's been massive. I
Mm,
can't, I find it hard to sum it up.
but you have summed it up
Oh,
wonderfully. Thank you. It feels like you have. And and what would you say the kind of biggest tangible result, or the kind of, yeah, what do you see around you that has changed? What's the biggest change kind of in your daily life? Or do you know, I don't know quite how to
yes,
put
yeah.
that question,
In
but
our daily life, I think look, there is a personality, not a personality clash, because we're very similar in personality, but that um defiance, or resisting things, is not necessarily just doing it for the wind up. Like, there's reasons behind. And you've really taught me skills on, especially bridging skills, like to let the child know that something is coming or something has to be done, and learning boundaries. And I just find that because I'm able to better remove myself from a situation, nothing escalates. It's
well,
allowed to be expressed, and then it's sort of acknowledged and empathized with, and then it just comes down. And I find the amount of times that my son will come up and say, I'm sorry that I didn't mean what I said there, is massive, because I don't need him to apologize. I don't say, now say sorry for that. He just naturally will come up and say, I didn't mean that, and and he'll tell me what's behind it. And that communication is just fabulous. That was never there before.
mm, that's beautiful. And did you have any concerns about signing up when at that start, that moment where you were making the
Yeah,
decision? Did you have any worries?
I did, because I think nobody wants to admit that they need help sometimes, especially with parenting. And I have three, and two are sort of, I don't want to say successfully parenting, if you know what I mean. But I suppose that I had to admit that the problem was primarily on my part, and I had a feeling that that was the case, because there were never problems at school. There was never problems on play dates. When he was out of the house, he was an angel. And it was how he was reacting at home and how I was responding to those outbursts. So I knew that I was parenting badly, and to kind of hold your hand up and say, I need help, I'm struggling here. It's kind of, it is a bit of a personal failure or some sort, we're sort of raised to believe that mothering should come naturally, and sometimes parenting doesn't. When you're faced with challenges, you resort to the way that you were parented or all the experiences that you've had in childhood. So it was that kind of sense of, oh, what are the other mums going to be like, and am I the only one who's going to have this sort of disconnect with my child? So there was those sort of fears around joining the group, which it turned out to be just the opposite, which is great.
Well, I really appreciate your sharing that, actually, because I'm sure that many listeners will resonate with that, and it's just kind of not what we talk about,
No.
and so it's so very powerful, and there's
Well,
such
especially, yeah,
strength in being able to kind of actually be able to share that and make this something that we do talk about.
absolutely. Because I think we're sort of sucked into that social media perfect family thing. And I know I do myself post the pictures of the happy family, because on the occasions when things are going right, I'm like, this is beautiful, I'm
Yeah,
enjoying it, I want to remember it. But there is the other side of that you have to kind of, it's not always like that. And it's to sort of enjoy those moments as well, or learn that it doesn't always have to be up. So there's going to be, the down times, and it's how to get through them and make them also memorable, but not, do you know what I mean? Not picture perfect, but there's learning in there, there's
yeah,
connection, and there's family time. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and we all have them. So,
Yeah.
so what would you? Is there a kind of piece of learning or something that you learned on the course or discovered or came to as a result of doing the course that you'd like to share with our listeners,
Yeah.
that might help them with their parenting journey?
Yeah, I just think it was the whole, like from the start, the whole that all behavior is communication. And if you stop sort of seeing it as bad behavior or good behavior, if you just say, to get curious. I was never curious about why my son was behaving in a certain way. I was just sort of, that's wrong to behave like that, which is not how we treat adults. So why would we treat children like that, who are totally not in control of what they're feeling or these big feelings that they have? So that was that was the start of it, really. And then I think the work that I did on myself about my own experiences as a child, and things like knowing that you don't have to fix your child, you just have to be there for them and be solid and supportive and empathic and hear what they're trying to tell you, um, is great, because we kind of jump into fixing mode as parents when things are wrong, when really that automatically takes you out of the equation. And when you're a massive part of the equation, if you're trying to fix someone else without looking at yourself, you're at nothing. um, and then the biggest thing I think recently, and it's funny because it was all on board, I had all the information, and then we had a recent, because I'm doing the follow-up monthly Zoom call just to check in, which I'm really enjoying as well. I wasn't quite ready to be let go all on my own. But one of the mums was saying that she finds it hard to find the pause. And that's something I've always struggled with, how to pause before reacting, because I know how I'm supposed to react, but it's trying to get that step back. And the piece that Una, that you did on detachment, and I think for me it was a massive learning that it's not personal. That whole thing about, just because you're being targeted, like I said before, just because there's name calling, or you're sort of their punch bag, to try and take yourself out of that and not engage with that, but try to give them space, give yourself space to let them process it, to help them process it and find out what's going on behind that. So that's been massive.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Eva, and thank you so much for this whole interview. It's been
Pleasure.
brilliant. Really appreciate your coming on with me.